100% of all artists face the possibility of going broke in the music industry every single day, man. And this uncertainty creates anxiety when making major financial decisions without a clear vision of where you're going. But I'm here to say I'm standing right with you, man. But if you want to understand the main ways you might face your downfall and how to prevent it, tune in to today's episode of the Music Money Makeover Show. The number one way is you're over leveraged. Let's just talk about it. The number one way many new artists go broke in this business is by being over leveraged from advances and funding. And this means that they've maxed out every single dollar they could pull from their future earnings. And to get more money, they must first pay down these balances. Sure, the money is needed to get off the ground. I feel you. And you want to break free from where you are right now. So that's why you need it. However, this creates a scenario where you don't have enough cash flow to pay down the debt that you just advanced yourself. Even though you want to get things moving quickly, it's better to take your time and just use a little bit of leverage instead of all of it. This approach lets you build the cash flow you need to sustain yourself step by step. Taking it slower allows for a more stress-free ride to the top of your career. Over leveraging causes pain and suffering on your way up. And in some cases, you might never make it because of this burden. So picture this, you're an artist and you're new, right? And you're with somebody who's experienced. And so you go to the label and you take out an advance on all the royalties that you would get from that label, because they're gonna do that, right? And then you're gonna go to BMI and or ASCAP if you got enough pull from that manager to get an advance on all your publishing royalties because you just so happen to be a writer, right? For any and everything possible, all for the sake of the manager getting a payday. That's one scenario. This is true, and that happens. What happens with that is you become over leveraged. You might need that money right now to keep living, to keep recording this project. But if you're getting this money in a recording position all up front, paying taxes all on the same year and not having the business set up, you're in a world of trouble. The flip side is you get some funding from a bank, which a lot of you all have taken advantage of my artist funding within the 60-day record label course and the Music Money Makers community. And you get all the funding, and then what you do with that funding is you spend it all at once, thinking that, oh, I can pay this back. Well, I go over this in the Music Money Makers community on how not to do that and what you need to do to use it the right way. But what you do when you use that funding is you spend it all, and now you have no cash flow to cover the debt, because it's going to mount very, very fast when you spend all the money. So this is why over leveraging is one of the number one key factors of why you're going to go broke in this business. Either you're over leveraged on your advances or you're over leveraged on debt and you ain't got no cash flow. So let's go to the number one or the number two way, right? Which really should be number one too. Your cash flow is too low. So here's why a lot of artists sink fast in this business. It's simply because they're not bringing in enough cash flow. Cash flow is consistent income over a period of time, usually 3 months, and income must remain consistent during the whole process. If there is no cash flow, then the whole plane crashes. Artists, when they start to get cash flow, want to take some for themselves and they want to take that profit, right? Spend it and maybe splurge a little bit. But remember that you should keep this money within the business to keep the business afloat. That's business cash flow. When you do this, then you will last way longer in this business. But if you spend your cash flow as soon as you get it, you'll never have what's called power. So you can continue to create for a living. You see what I'm saying? So if we got some cash flow, we can't spend it all, baby. Consider this scenario. You've built up your streaming income to a stable $5,000 per month, but you're spending every dollar before you can make any profit. This lack of financial cushion isn't sustainable and sets you up for failure. Every dollar coming in is already spent before it went out. You have no cash flow because you ate it all. Now, if over leveraging was a problem and over leveraging ate up the cash flow, which essentially this is another way to do it, or you overspent before the cash flow comes in, then what is causing you to do that? Here's the third way that you're actually going to go broke in this business. Check it out. Operating expenses are too high. What no one tells you about running your own record label is that operating expenses are essential. But what happens when those expenses are too high and you don't have enough cash flow to cover them expenses? Well, your business begins to suffer and you can't operate efficiently. When this happens, many people scramble to find different ways to make money, only for their business to actually crumble behind them and beneath their feet. So it's best to keep your operating expenses low until you can afford to expand. Remember, slow progress is better than no progress, even though software tools can help you reach the finish line a lot faster, there's no point in acquiring them if there is no return on investment for the things that you're currently doing. So, have you ever come across an artist who paid for their team but can't afford to keep making more music because everyone is just taking a cut from all the money that's coming in? Their operating expenses are too high. This is what's happening. So not only are subscriptions and software and things like that are because manufacturing expenses is different. Operating is your daily operating expenses, not studio time, right? That's to make the product. We talking about to run this sucker. We got staff over here that's like, yo, I got to get a piece of this and I got to get paid to do this and that and the third. And then you got all the software and the AI that's running the business. You got to pay all them subscriptions. Next thing you know, all the inflow money is eaten up. So let's go back through it again. If we spent all the credit or we advanced ourselves all of our artist royalties, which means we ain't getting no more, right? Because that was our paycheck from the labor that we're getting ready to put in, or we took all the bank's money and we spent it all because we didn't budget it. Now we're over leveraged. We don't have no cash flow because simply we ain't doing enough to bring enough in, or it's all being eaten up by the interest on over leveraged debt, or by having too many operating expenses, paying too many staff or too many software pieces to run the business, and we have no money, we're out of the game. And this is all because people don't really talk to artists about how to run a business. It just looks flashy and it's full of flair, and you're excited to be here to create some music, and hopefully you make it, and so you don't have to go back to your job. So now what if I can't manage my finances properly? Well, let's talk about it, because money management isn't your problem, man. Lack of financial education is, and systems are. So I would recommend a book called Profit First. You can get it beneath this video, and this will help build your financial education from the ground up so you don't go underwater. I want you to start small, I want you to track every dollar, and I want you to put systems in place before scaling. Because if you avoid proper financial management, you'll likely join the many artists who go broke. But if you embrace it, you'll build a sustainable career with steady growth. Now, I hear the gripes about this already, because you're like, yo, man, I'm trying to create. Like, I don't really want to do this, dog. Like, I just want to make some music, put it out, and have somebody else do that. Yo, it's your newsflash. It's your business to begin with. That's what the 60-day record label course is all about. It's not the manager's business. It ain't the record label's business. It ain't BMI's business. It's your business. And if you can't run your business, what are we doing? You don't need to be in business, which you won't be in business if you can't run your business. So you need some financial education. Okay, well, what if I take on too much debt? All right, well, let's address that. Because if you're in this position, you have poor leverage management, and you'll want to address it by only taking advances you can comfortably repay with current income. Okay, now I go over this in my Art of Music Funding course, Get Money, Stay Independent Masterclass inside the Music Money Makers community. If you avoid all funding, you might struggle to grow. However, if you manage it wisely, you can use leverage to accelerate your success. And let me throw this story point in here. Have you ever seen the story about Rich Homie Quan saying that he had, I wouldn't say the label, but his financier give him $400 a week just so he wouldn't have to work, so he could not only promote, he could promote more, and he could finish up the album that he already had recorded. What a genius move. The advance was only $19,000, but he said, just pay me $400 a week. And he didn't even get the full $19,000 because he was already making money on shows. He didn't need the rest. That's how you pace yourself and you don't over leverage yourself. Man, just pay me the same amount that I'm working on my job, and we're gonna build this thing up. Once we get it up there, you can stop with the advance. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you smooth enough, you'll say, hey, now when I'm getting money from these shows, you're gonna let me pay that advance back with this money. Because again, this is negotiation. I wanna make sure that my artist royalties are clear to come through. And that's the one thing labels don't want you to know. Look, that's the one thing labels don't want you to do. Sorry to all my record label owners out there. They don't want you to be able to pay your advance back with cash because it's a labor contract. But if you got the gonads, the testicular fortitude enough to negotiate that in your contract as an artist to say, hey man, let me pay back my advance with cold cash. Come on, man. What deal are we talking about? I'm only on the hook to do 2 more albums for you. You know what I'm saying? That's it. And if you're doing what you need to do the right way, again, they're not really making all the money off of you. if you got a recording contract. They just getting the recording services off of you. Anyway, man, I don't want to go into that. Anyway, but what if my operating costs get out of control, man? What happens if that happens? High operating costs are not the problem. That's not the problem. What's really happening is insufficient resource allocation. And I'm willing to bet that you're not using everything that you're paying for. And some of it is probably too expensive that you got going on. And I want you to start lean, only adding expenses that show clear ROI or are necessary to operate the business efficiently. Because if you avoid necessary investments, your growth will stagnate. But if you invest strategically, you'll build a profitable operation, which is what I want you to do. So we don't want to take on everything, just what we need. Now, here's what you can do. I want you to reduce all costs to your label that are ineffective and don't generate any return on investment. Then I want you to stop using all funding right now if you don't need it. And then I want you to join Music Money Makers, right? I want you to come into the community where you get access to financial education, resource, including the Art of Music Funding Masterclass, and including access to capital. Access to capital, man. Affordable. I'm not talking about expensive American Express type. I'm talking about affordable capital, yo. That's like affordable capital. It's even in I gave it to people of the 60-day record label course, and it's in there. I'm giving you line of credit prices on this capital, man. Anyway, join me Monday night as well, live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the Music Money Makers community. If you want to address some of these topics, get some questions addressed about this topic right there on the spot. Because whether you know it or not, we learn really, really well in a community together. And everybody who's always on my calls, we're always advancing and moving forward a lot quicker than people who are not. You see what I'm saying? And so I love it, man. It's a great thing for the Music Money Makeover community, because based on the strategies we've discussed, here are the key payoffs you can expect when you manage your finances properly. This is what you can expect right here. Your cash flow will stabilize and grow constantly and consistently, allowing you to reinvest in your music career without stress. And then you'll build a sustainable business model that generates long-term wealth instead of short-term gains. You'll have complete creative freedom because you're not tied down to excessive debt or high operating costs. The whole point of this thing, man. But again, I know that you all don't have a lot of financial education if you're getting started. But if you don't get none, man, you're gonna drain your bank account and your credit and potentially lead yourself to bankruptcy and financial ruin. That is not a joke. That's real. You will experience increased stress and anxiety and loss of confidence in your artistic vision because you screwed up the money, or you can't generate enough cash flow, or you just didn't get the education, the financial education to make it happen. But you'll have to choose between giving up your music career entirely, being dropped or passed off to another label, or struggling perpetually in debt. I don't want that to happen to you, but I know it's there. But at the end of the day, the success or your failure of your music career often comes down to how well you manage your finances. It's not just about making great music. It's about smart business decisions that will sustain your artistry for the long haul. By implementing proper financial management, avoiding over-leveraging, and maintaining healthy cash flow, you can build a sustainable career that allows you to keep creating the music that you love. Music Money Makers, if you make music, you should always make money. Log on to the all-new musicmoneymakers.com community. Said .com community, all right? Jump into there. Get immersed in everybody that's making some big moves towards their career trajectories, right? Grab the 60-day record label course, grab the free stuff, like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video. And guess what? I'll see you next time. Peace.